Hello, welcome back to the Coleman channel, and welcome back to another very epic installment of the Tube Review, where we review media, and I tell you if I like it or not. Quick disclaimer, apologies for the burnt appearance. It's incredibly hot here in Scotland right now. I am burnt. I'm burnt. You know, that's all you really need to know. I'm burnt. Hence why I'm wearing the Hawaii shirt. Quick aside there. Anyway, it's here, it's time, we've read the title, we know what's coming. Wow, can you believe we're finally getting around to this review? I can't believe it. It's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, Obi-Wan Kenobi, can you believe it? Probably one of the most highly anticipated pieces of Star Wars media, and I honestly think years probably ever since the prequels came out, or a little bit after the prequels came out. I think everyone has been very desperate to see Ewan McGregor pull up as Obi-Wan Kenobi again, and Hayden Christensen to pull up as Anakin Skywalker, or more appropriately Darth Vader again, and they get to have a very epic rematch and stuff. That's basically what everyone has been wanting for the longest time, and it's been rumoured for many years. Obviously there was a lot of talk about a movie coming out, a 3-part trilogy coming out, and then obviously it became a Disney Plus limited series, 6-episode series. But you know, everyone was very excited about it, rightly so. I honestly think, you know, I like Star Wars, obviously, that's why I watched it. I watch all the Star Wars things. And I think this is probably like the most highly anticipated show out of all of them, honestly. I mean, there's only like 3 shows, not counting the cartoons, obviously, but other than Mando and Book of Boba Fett, obviously, everyone really wanted to see Obi-Wan Kenobi, and it's happening, and it was very exciting stuff. We know Hayden Christensen pulling up as Darth Vader and stuff, and they're finally going to get their big rad rematch as Vader and Ben Kenobi, I suppose. Yeah, you know, everyone was just ready, screaming, hype all over the place, and I was honestly, yeah, one of those as well, since I learned that it was going to happen. Since the first trailer came out, well, it was just so rad and exciting, because they were playing Duel of the Fates and Battle of the Heroes. Battle of the Heroes being my favourite Star Wars song of all time. That's the song that plays in Revenge of the Sith when they're fighting each other in Mustafar. Anyway, I digress. The point is, it was very highly anticipated, very highly anticipated. And now obviously it's been a couple of weeks to a month, I think. It's been a while since Obi-Wan finished, obviously. Right off the bat, obviously, the non-spoiler review thing. I mean, if you like Star Wars, you've more than likely seen Obi-Wan Kenobi by now. But in case you haven't, for some reason, in case you've not got around to it, you're waiting. I don't know why. If you're watching other stuff, you've not watched it yet and you're interested in Star Wars, I don't know. Spoiler-free review. Yeah, I thought Obi-Wan Kenobi was, it was okay to good. I think it's a good estimation for that. It fluctuated very much for me personally during the show between, this is just pretty okay, not absolutely crazy, to, wow, this is actually pretty damn good. Especially the finale. I think, honestly, this is, if you've watched my Moon Knight review, go ahead and watch it if you've not already. It pretty much comes down to the whole show was pretty okay, and then it got absolutely saved by the finale. If the finale was not as amazing as it was, I would have honestly said that the show was just like not great. To compare it to the other shows that have come out, I think Mandalorian is still the best piece of Star Wars media that we've had since they made Star Wars a thing again. Obviously, I think the sequels range from okay to absolutely god-awful. Rogue One was pretty damn good. I've still not seen Solo because I kind of don't want to, but I think Mandalorian is the best piece of Star Wars media we've had in a long ass time, and Book of Boba Fett was pretty okay, and then it got hijacked by Mandalorian anyway, which is hilarious. I kind of do believe that Mandalorian is leagues above Obi-Wan Kenobi, to be quite honest. The finale is like the big thing for me, which I obviously can't talk about here because it's spoiler free, but the finale makes the show. If the finale wasn't as rad as it was, I think the rest of the show would have suffered really badly from it. The main issue for me is that Obi-Wan Kenobi probably just should not have been a Disney Plus 6-episode limited series, to be quite honest. I think the original talks about it being a 3-part trilogy. I think a 3-part trilogy is a bit much. Maybe they could have done it because I know that the people would have been there to see it. I maybe just needed it to be a film. It kind of just was begging to be a movie, to be quite honest. Like, you can make a show about Boba Fett, that makes perfect sense to me. I don't think Boba Fett's the kind of character who deserves to have his own film, but Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor from Obi-Wan as Obi-Wan Kenobi, it needed to be a show, to be quite honest, because like 6 episodes is just not doing it justice. It's really how I felt while watching the whole thing. It just did not feel like it was doing it justice at all for many different reasons. A lot of episodes just didn't have a lot of stuff going for it. I don't think there was anything necessarily bad about the show, to be quite honest. Like, there wasn't anything I was watching that was like, oh, this is awful. Like, there wasn't anything terribly awful, I don't think. I can't think of anything that I really remember looking at and going, why is this here, or this is pretty bad. It was just like pretty mid. Like, that's the biggest problem, really. The fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi was just okay, that's the worst part. Like, that's the biggest issue. Book of Boba Fett can be okay. Like, I can live with that. Boba Fett was never my favourite character. I prefer Jango Fett to Boba Fett, to be quite honest. But, you know, I could live with that show being fine, being okay, whatever. Don't care. But, bruh, it's Ewan McGregor from the prequels, which, you know, say what you want about the prequels, I think they've aged like a fine-ass wine. You know what I'm saying? That's a big-ass fucking deal, dude. Obi-Wan Kenobi's like one of the most important characters in the entire saga, bruh. The relationship, the whole rise and fall of the relationship between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, and his fall to the dark side and becoming Darth Vader, and, you know, Obi-Wan going into hiding on Tatooine and becoming Ben Kenobi and just losing touch with the Force and stuff, I think is probably the best arc out of the entirety of Star Wars. And the fact that this kind of, not necessarily a conclusion, because obviously they meet again in A New Hope, but you know what I mean, like the closure for all of the things that happened in the prequels was this show. You can tell if you've seen it, and I'll dive into that a bit more in the spoilerific review. It needed to be a fucking film. It needed to be a movie. It just needed more time. It needed to be a bigger project than it was. It just did not suit, and it was not enough justice being dealt for it to be a show, a limited 6-episode series coming out every Wednesday. That's kind of how I feel about it. Maybe we'll get more Obi-Wan. I know that Hayden and Ewan are up for doing it. I know they'd like to do it. I know they'd love to do it. But, you know, that's just all in the, not, like, we don't know if that's going to happen or not in the first place, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the moment, all we know is this show came out and that's all we're getting right now. That's the big thing. And it is unfortunate that it wasn't a film. That's my main take from it. As a result, the show was fluctuating very often from it was pretty okay to it was good. And I think that's a good spoiler-free review. I think I've told you everything that you really need to know. If you like Star Wars, you should watch it. That's the main thing. I wouldn't say that you shouldn't watch it or whatever. Then again, I'm the guy that has not seen Solo. That's besides the point. I think it's a show that you should watch if you like Star Wars. You should give it a look. That's my main take from the whole thing. I recommend that you watch it and then see for yourself. But that is what I would say to people walking into it. I've not seen it. I feel like it should have been a film. This is one of the most important arcs, if not the most important arc, and in my opinion, the best arc of the whole Skywalker saga, I guess you'd say. Obi-Wan and Darth Vader and Anakin Skywalker and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it needed to be done more justice, I think. Even Ewan McGregor, who was the producer of the show, or I don't know if he was the executive producer, but he was definitely a producer on it, still felt like it needed more, man, you know? And then obviously there was like the little side stuff, with like the Inquisitors and stuff. That was pretty cool. I like the Inquisitors as a general rule. Obviously I've not watched a lot of the Clone Wars or Rebels, but I'm familiar with like the Grand Inquisitor who's in it. We'll get to him a bit more and all that kind of stuff. It was like that was all pretty cool. I like that. It made sense the Inquisitors were in it. But, you know, regardless, it just did not feel like enough. And I think that's a good spoiler-free review. Alrighty, now I guess we'll talk about the spoilerific review a bit more in depth about how I felt about everything. I think in general the story was fine. The story made sense to me. Obviously the whole idea is that Princess Leia gets kidnapped from Alderaan by Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers and a bunch of other dudes. And then Obi-Wan is contacted by Bail Organa to go out and find her, and then it's a whole adventure about Obi-Wan or Ben Kenobi going out and trying to find Leia and save her without giving away the fad that he's a Jedi. Obviously because they're all getting hunted by the Inquisitors and all that kind of stuff. That's all fine. I don't have an issue with that particularly. See, this is the thing again, like if you watch the spoiler-free review, it all basically falls through the whole thing because nothing feels out of place, nothing feels particularly wrong, really. Like the plot's fine, it carries the whole show, really. We don't get to see a lot of Luke, obviously, because Obi-Wan pretty much leaves Tatooine like straight away. I think we were kind of originally given the idea that it was going to be a planet hopping adventure, but there's not much planets to get hopped to, you know? There was the one planet which kind of looked like Coruscant, but wasn't, where Obi-Wan finds Leia, and then he gets shipped off to some other, you know, dime a dozen deserty planet that we've seen many times before already. That's one of my big issues, is actually like we're running out of biomes. We're really running out of biomes in Star Wars. I kind of felt like the one that looked like Coruscant was fine, like the big city streets, Blade Runner-y kind of thing, that looked cool, but man, if I see any more dunes, Jakku, Tatooine kind of thing, bruh, good lord, give it a rest. It could have been something a little bit different. Visually, it wasn't crazy, like that's the thing, there wasn't a lot of crazy. Mandalorian, it felt like had more visual feasts in terms of the planets that they go to and the aliens and stuff compared to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Especially the biggest crime, in my opinion, that a lot of people pointed out was the headquarters for the Inquisitors. I don't know what it's called. Fortress Inquisitorius or some nonsense like that. The first time that we saw the fortress was in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was the kind of like Soulsborne kind of video game that came out a couple of years back, where he plays Cal Kestis. Good game, in my opinion. You go to the fortress in that game, and visually it looks phenomenal. You know, the big like pyramid triangle building just in the water. There's like star fields and planets and galaxies all behind it, and it looks phenomenal. And Obi-Wan, the tower looks nowhere as exciting. It's a murky green, swampy, smudged looking world, and it has nothing like that we saw in Jedi Fallen Order. Obviously it's completely different things, like that's in a video game engine and this is quote unquote real life. You could have done a little bit more. It just looked like, comparing the two, it just looks really drab. It looks really drab, which is a shame. It could have looked way cooler, and it's just kind of like a running theme for the whole show. Like a lot of it just doesn't look that exciting, to be honest. Just because you're able to compare these things, you're able to compare the Fortress Inquisitorius and Obi-Wan to the one that's in Fallen Order, and the one in Fallen Order looks phenomenal, and the one in this highly anticipated show looks kind of lame, to be honest. It just looks kind of it looks kind of meh, it looks kind of drab. But yeah, that was just like that's a quick aside. The planet hopping thing isn't too crazy. Like we get to see Alderaan fully for the first time. I think since the prequels, I think we kind of we get to see a little bit of it, and Revenge of the Sith, we get to see a lot more of it, which is great. Tatooine, you know, the Jundland Wastes, or wherever it is, where the Skywalkers lives, like, yeah, it looks pretty much the same. Mos Eisley looks the same, you know. Not that I'm complaining, this is a classic place, you know, one of my favourite planets in Star Wars, so I'm not complaining about that particularly. Again, that Coruscant, I don't know the name of these planets off by heart, but the one, you know what I'm talking about when I say the one that looks like Coruscant and Attack of the Clones, where it's all city lights and Blade Runner, kind of like, that looked fine, that looked cool. And it basically ends off like that's the last planet they go to, really. They end up in a dusty dune planet. That looks fine, you know, I can't complain too much about that. And then it ends kind of like Last Jedi, except nowhere near as terrible, where they're flying away from a ship and they're getting chased. Nice callback to A New Hope, where the Star Destroyer was like chasing them and stuff. That was pretty cool. But yeah, not much planet hopping in it, to be fair. But like, you know, it's 6 episodes. To be fair, I don't know how we would have thought there was going to be a lot of that anyway in the first place. The little side plot going on with, I think her name was Reva, who's like the other Inquisitor, who's like trying to become the big Grand Inquisitor and hunt Obi-Wan for herself. Obviously there was a lot of hate on her for the start, which I think was completely unfounded and ridiculous. Like, at first I was just like, yeah, it's just like, okay, I'm not too fucked about it, to be honest. Like, you know, she wasn't particularly grabbing me or anything, but I didn't hate her. It's like, whatever. But honestly, I think her story got really damn pretty good, to be real. I really enjoyed it, especially like near the second last episode where all the grand revelations happened, that she was a youngling in the Jedi Order. She witnessed Order 66 happen. She witnessed Anakin murdering all the younglings and stuff, and she was there. And she was actually secretly plotting to kill Vader herself by, you know, getting close to him, hunting Obi-Wan and becoming the Grand Inquisitor. And then obviously he knows we had a really cool lightsaber duel between them. Darth Vader used the 2 sabers. Didn't do the thing that he does with fucking Count Dooku, gets rid of the one of them, whatever. That was pretty cool though. And then a redemption arc where she goes to kill Luke, and she basically just gives up the saber. I really thought she was gonna like take out the Kyber crystal and like, you know, make it weight like Ashoka's, man. I think that will happen though. But actually, really cool redemption arc, really cool story. Took a little while to warm up initially because obviously she just seemed like a pretty stock villain. But damn, pretty good progression with that story. I really genuinely thought it was pretty damn good. And I think if she returns, either like as a redeemed Force user of the white sabers, kind of like Ashoka, she's not a Jedi anymore. I think that's the idea. I remember quite rightly. Obviously, I've seen a lot about Clone Wars and not a lot of Rebels, and I think that's her progression in the shows. I think that will probably happen to Reva, and that will be really cool. I love to see her having like this. Her lightsaber got broke, but some sort of spinning lightsaber would be really cool. I really enjoyed that. And the rest of the cast are great as well. Even the Grand Inquisitor, who I remember thinking was going to be awful because he purposefully never watched Clone Wars or Rebels. I still don't really get why you wouldn't do a little bit of character study. I get the idea that you want to bring your own thing, but you can still know a little bit about the character, your pre-established character that you're playing, and bring your own thing to it. But you know, whatever. I'm not an actor, but I think that makes sense. And obviously, everyone was making fun of him because of his big round stupid head, and he didn't look like big Utapauian or some kind of alien that he is. The ones that were in Revenge of the Sith again with the scary teeth. You know, I didn't think it looked that. I thought it looked pretty weird as well. But as he went on, it kind of made sense, and his character was pretty good. You know, I can't deny it. A lot of people quite liked him, especially the final line that he has when he walks up and sees Reva and goes, "Hello." You know, I think everyone kind of warmed up to him in the end. He was pretty good, you know, I can't deny it was pretty cool. I think in the end, Reva was a lot cooler than him, because her arc, she just had a really good arc. And the kid actors are pretty good, you know, I thought Leia was actually a pretty good actress. You can definitely see a little bit of, they managed to bring in Leia's, like, stubbornness and, you know, capability of, like, taking care of herself, essentially, right in her, which is really cool. They definitely could feel how she would develop and get older and be like that, you know what I'm saying? And you know, it ties up a lot of nice little loose ends with like how Rogue One did with New Hope. This show did the same. How Leia actually knows Obi-Wan in the first place. She knows her name was Ben Kenobi. His name is Ben Kenobi, excuse me, and all that kind of stuff. And how she knew her father fought with him in the Clone Wars and stuff. Makes perfect sense. I thought that was good, made sense to me, you know. Obviously the main two people that we would talk about is Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor, and you know, they're both phenomenal, obviously. Like, I love Ewan McGregor as an actor anyways, and some of my favourite films like Trainspotting and stuff like that, and obviously he was just one of the greatest things about the prequels as Obi-Wan. And he just kind of brings it back. Like, a lot of people kind of saying his voice wasn't quite as good. I didn't really pick up on that, really. I thought he was fine. He played the role of like a really beaten down and out old, like starting to get old and weary and like finished with everything, given up Ben Kenobi character, especially the open episodes where you just see him doing like the same thing over and over again, just cutting up some meat and shit and like just living his life out in isolation and exile was really good. And his progression build up to like being a hero again, being a Jedi again, having his Jedi powers come back, especially for the finale, using lightsabers again. It was all paced very well. And yeah, just Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, like, bruh. It's just like he came out for the prequels again, you know? And Hayden Christensen, obviously, most of the time he is Darth Vader. You don't get to see him at all, really. I think in total you see his face 3 times. You know, it's obviously really exciting that we get to have Hayden Christensen in the Vader outfit. Obviously, it's a big deal And it's quite hard to pull off because the people that played Vader before, obviously, you can just get any old dude, big hench motherfucker like David Prowse or something, and then just have James Earl Jones do the voice. Obviously Hayden Christensen isn't a big buff guy. Personally, I think the body actor in Rogue One was the best that we've had so far. I think he was menacing, huge, like big ass guy. It really captured the build and the size of Vader and under the suit and the armor and the prosthetics and stuff. But obviously the main difference is Hayden brings Anakin's mannerisms into the outfit, like the way he holds his hand when he's force choking someone, the finale where he's like dual wielding the saber and you can see him do that with the hands. You can really see Hayden's Anakin under the armor. And while he may not be as big in stature and stuff like that, I think he did a really good job. And obviously all these body actors for Vader carry that walk, the David Prowse walk. He did that very well. James Earl Jones was fantastic as well. I can't believe how well they managed to make his voice sound like it did in 73, because obviously James Earl Jones is like 90 something now, bruh, and his voice is old, which we noticed in Rogue One. It was good in Rogue One, but you could tell his voice was old and it was like not as the same as it was, which is perfectly fine. The dude's fucking old, bruh. He is like in his 90s, well into his 90s. The fact that he's like still got that voice at all is majorly cool. But the technology that they used to make James Earl Jones's voice sound like it did then was perfect. Like I didn't even notice it at first. I was watching, I was like, this does not sound like he did in Rogue One. He sounds young again, and the technology worked very well. It was really, really well done. Whoever done the audio engineering for that did a really kick-ass job, man. Really, really well done. And whenever Vader's on the screen, it's always rad. Everyone loves Darth Vader. Everyone loves when he's on the screen doing stuff. And even when nothing's particularly happening, just his presence alone lifts up everything. Like the episode where you first see Vader in the flesh and he's like looking for Obi-Wan, he's just massacring everybody, they're drawn out, rad. Even that one scene where he just pulls up and force chokes Reva, like nothing was happening that whole episode. I feel like it kind of just felt like a carbon copy of Fallen Order again. Even Obi-Wan force holds like the water coming through, like Darth Vader did, but not as cool. Yeah, there wasn't a lot happening in that episode personally. I didn't think it was that crazy. Everyone was making fun of the smuggling thing with like Leia and the jacket and stuff, but I thought it was pretty stupid as well. But I kind of felt like the more kooky or wacky side of Star Wars, that's always been there. Come on, bro, think about it this way: Han and Luke dressed up as stormtroopers and they're like trying to pretend that they're real. He says like, well, no, everything's good up here, how are you, and all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's always been part of Star Wars since the beginning. So you can't really fault it too much, I don't personally think. Although I did think it was a little bit teetering on the side of ridiculous. Regardless, whenever he was on the screen, Darth Vader just lifts up everything that was going on. And I like the build up to him appearing, like when he senses Obi-Wan for the first time and his eyes open in the back of the tank. His prosthetics getting put on him and stuff. The building scene kind of like echoing back to Revenge of the Sith. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. Yeah, just rad, bro. The two originals, you know what I'm saying? Like they really lifted the whole thing. I think the main complaint from me and a lot of people was that I really wish we got to see some Clone Wars stuff. Like, a lot of people were wanting to see them wearing the armor from the cartoon. The closest thing I ever got to the live action people wearing them was in, I think, Battlefront 2, because they had the outfits there. That's the closest we've ever gotten to them wearing the Clone Wars, like, commander armor and all that kind of stuff. Sadly, that wasn't in this. We got a flashback sequence of them when Anakin was a Padawan, so like Attack of the Clones kind of time. That was okay. I kind of got the idea where like they're practicing dueling and like Anakin's world when they just murder him. But it would have been really good to have seen some Clone Wars flashbacks. And again, this is why it could have been a movie, or it should have been, because we could have easily, I think they could have easily fitted that in quite nicely, honestly. But it just wasn't meant to be and we didn't have it. Not a complaint per se, but I really wish they did add that in, to be brutally honest. But c'est la vie. The music wasn't hitting. Like, I feel like with a lot of these new Star Wars things, even if John Williams is attached to it, it just does, the music does not have the power and the passion and the iconicism as it used to anymore. No Binary Sunset, no Duel of the Fates, no Battle of the Heroes, No, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's just not really there anymore, man. I think the last one that we had that was really good was the Mandalorian theme. You know, Book of Boba Fett had a pretty good theme as well. But that's about it. Like, Obi-Wan just did not have a very iconic music playing. Even the finale, bruh. The finale needed to have Battle of the Heroes playing. I know that it's not the point because Vader's not a hero anymore, but they could have had a spin on the song and changed it to a different song or a title or something like that, bruh. Basically, they should have had a rendition of Battle of the Heroes playing because that made that fight on Mustafar so much more rad, so much more impassioned. Two old friends battling it out for the sake of everything. The Jedi Order and their friendship and all that kind of stuff, man. That song encapsulated the feelings of both of these people fighting each other perfectly, bruh. So well. And we just did not have that in this finale fight. And the finale was fucking great. The fight between the two of them is rad. I wasn't like, they weren't going crazy, which I don't think they should because they're not young anymore. Obi-Wan's a bit older and Vader's in this big ass suit. He can't move like he used to. But they kick each other's ass. The lightsaber, like, it feels really heavy. Like the lightsaber slapping into the ground and stuff like that. You know, the Force ability throwing rocks at each other and all that kind of shit. Vader shit talking. You don't hear Vader yelling very often at all. So that was, yeah, that whole fight was just absolutely fantastic. A bit of a boring planet again, but like it felt really well. It fit really well, fine for all like the stalactites or whatever one, the ones that are on the ground. I can't remember the name of them. That's besides the point. It was a really good finale, really good fight. Again, lifted up the entirety of the show, which was kind of teetering on mediocre, to be honest. Just because there wasn't a lot of crazy stuff happening. It was a bit slow and pacing in places like that. But the finale fight was great. Really good rematch. Obviously, Obi-Wan beating him again was rad. And the final conversation, bro, where he smashes his fucking mask off, and it's the other half. A lot of people compared it to how Ahsoka did the same thing in Rebels, and it was his, I think, left side, and this time it was the right side. And the conversation that they have, Anakin's voice merging with Vader's and stuff. The fucking Obi-Wan being so upset and apologizing, and then like, I think Anakin's almost like subconsciously reassuring them that it's okay. I'm not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did. And then the swan between Evo and the eyes going yellow again, and the lightsaber. Oh, bruh. That whole conversation was phenomenal, and it completely, perfectly gave closure to both of those characters from the prequels. Obi-Wan accepted that Anakin was basically done. He's dead, and he's never going to come back in his eyes. And I guess Vader accepted that he didn't need to be obsessed with Obi-Wan anymore. It's kind of, that's all done, bro. And he's made not quite peace, but he's just accepted what he's done, basically. That was just phenomenal. The best bits of writing in that whole show, man. Oh, ooh, so fucking good, bro. I just wish the whole show had moments like that, or just carried that whole feeling with it. But it just, I don't know, in some places just really didn't, to be honest. But you know, c'est la vie once again. The Lars family were actually really good. Uncle Owen was fucking great. Because obviously you don't get to see him very often, and he was only in A New Hope, and after he got torched. So it was really good to see that relationship between Luke and his adoptive family, and how it worked and stuff like that, and how Owen really you saw Owen want to keep him on the moisture farms and stuff. It's because he really just deep down cares about him, and he knows what's going to happen to him, and he saying to Obi-Wan to fucking leave him alone and just let him live his life. And the way he protects Luke from Reva, and also Owen and Beru are just like fervently protecting Luke. And the quote where like Reva's like, you treat him like one of your own, and he says he is my own. And that shit's like, oh god, it's just, we really needed a good bit of development with those two characters and the relationship they have with Luke, and it slotted in very side by side nicely with the fight between Vader and Obi-Wan. Didn't feel like there was any wasted cuts between them. We're like, oh, bring it back to the fight. It was good. I enjoyed that whole episode and the two things that were going on there. TBH. So yeah, it definitely ended on a very strong note. It's just a shame that the rest of the show was just kind of mid, honestly, in my opinion. It's a bit of a shame. But yeah, I think that's basically it. I can't think of anything else really that is worth mentioning about Obi-Wan Kenobi, other than all the things I just said. And now, epic to lame ratio time. I would probably, I think this is pretty cut and dry. I think Obi-Wan Kenobi, the 6-episode limited series, was high to mid-tier prey epic. High to mid-tier prey epic, I think, is fine. It's not lame. I can't say that, really. If I was talking about Book of Boba Fett, I'd probably like high-tier prey lame to low-tier prey epic, I think. I think that's a good place for it. I wish I could have been putting in most epic, but it just wasn't to be, man. It should have been most epic. If it was a film, I know for a fact it would have been, but it was doomed to be a 6-episode limited series, which it should not have been, bruh. It just shouldn't have been. So, there we go. High to mid-tier prey epic, I think, is a good place to put it. And with that, that's the tube review, baby. Thank you all very much for watching. Let me know what you all thought of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the comments below. What did you think? Did you like it or not like it? Etc, etc. Where would you be putting on the epic to lame ratio? More reviews to come and all that kind of stuff. You all know how it is. You know how it be, how it do. Yeah. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share bell. Check out the Twitch. Follow me on Twitter. Check the Discord. Hello there.